Hi there, welcome to Dead End Street. I'm Al. Um, we're here to continue our top 25 albums of the year series. We're moving on to 1983 this year, which is an interesting year because we're reaching the tail end of the birth of post-punk and new wave, and we're moving on into what's going to become the mid 80s, which is a very interesting time because now we're going to see a little bit more of my musical taste because it's been kind of pretty dominated by post punk because it was the heyday of the era. So we're going to see a little bit more hard rock, maybe even a little bit of metal. So let's get started. So coming in at number 25 is going to be U2 with War. This is a very dark, fiery, angry record, which are three attributes that would regrettably be absent in future records for U2. It's a very uneven record, but side one is amazing. Um, it contains Seconds, Like a Song, Drowning Man, and of course New Year's Day and Sunday Bloody Sunday all on one side. The second side significantly weaker, but side one more than makes up for it. And Larry Mullen's completely on fire on this record. Amazing drumming. Number 24 is going to be Holy Diver by Dio. Up to this point, we haven't seen a whole lot of hard rock or metal, but this one is pretty unmistakable for me. And 1983 was a pretty good year for this type of music. So, and then this record's a great example of that. Yes, there's great riffs. Yes, it's dark. But for me, it's always been more with Dio, it's been more about the amazing voice and the beautiful lyrics. And if you don't believe me, check out the lyrics on Don't Talk to Strangers. And come on, Rainbow in the Dark's awesome. Number 23 is going to be Punch the Clock by Elvis Costello and the Attractions. This may not be Elvis Costello's best record of the 80s, but still a very strong record. And any record that has Every Day I Write the Book and his version of Shipbuilding alone is probably going to get him on the list. Number 22, a little bit more hard rock. We're going to go with Pyromania by Def Leppard. Yeah, I know it's kind of mainstream and we don't have to see a lot of that on here, but this is a fantastic pop metal record. 8 out of the 10 songs on here are absolute bangers, some great riffs, great hooks. The production is just perfection. And there's a very dark undertone on this record that doesn't appear on any of their other records before or after. Number 21 is Hootenanny by the Replacements. So you can hear the seeds being planted here by the baby Replacements for the greatness that was coming ahead. While there's still more of the silliness that they had on Sorry Ma, Forgot to Take Out the Trash. There are some truly great tracks on here. Color Me Impressed, Within Your Reach, and Treatment Bound are all awesome. And Willpower was obviously lifted by Nirvana in about 5 different songs. Very obvious. Number 20 is going to be Back to Mystery City by Hanoi Rocks. No one does sleaze rock better than Hanoi Rocks. Mental Beat, Tooting Beck Wreck, Until I Get You, all absolute classic tracks. And I will continue to champion this band. Oh, and did I mention before that they are not a hair metal band? Far closer to Clash than they are to Guns N' Roses or Motley Crue, for sure. Great band. Number 19 is going to be Another Perfect Day by Motorhead. Yeah, so this album's a little bit divisive amongst the Motorhead faithful. It's not divisive for me at all. I think it's a great hard rock record. So Fast Eddie jump ship, and they enlist Brian Robertson, formerly of Thin Lizzy, to join the band, which on the surface sounds absolute bonkers. Why would you bring someone from Thin Lizzy into Motorhead? But it ends up sounding more to me like Lemmy joining Thin Lizzy, which I guess is probably the problem for the Motorhead fans. It's easily the best sounding Motorhead record of the era. Um, Hardcore Motorhead purists pretty much hate it. I don't care. I love it. I think it's a great album. Number 18 is Feline by the Stranglers. So Long Gone are the super aggressive, snarling, rocking songs for now. They make way for synthesizers and some sophisti-pop, believe it or not. And lo and behold, it works. Feline may not be their finest work, um, but I think it's a step in the right direction for their survival. And they have some more great records coming up in this era. Number 17 is going to be the self-titled record by Waterboys. So Mike Scott arrives in the scene with his songwriting style and lyricism fully intact, as far as I'm concerned. This is a beautiful set of songs. It's a bit more moody than and dark than I think some of the other Waterboys records. Certainly more so than This Is the Sea. Number 16 is going to be Mummer by XTC. More excellent songwriting from XTC. It doesn't veer too far from what they were doing on English Settlement, but that's not a bad thing. It's still a progression, of course, because it's progression because it's XTC. Love on a Farm Boy's Wages is really kind of mind blowing instrumentally and melodically. It's one of Andy's best, I think. Number 15 is going to be The Hurting by Tears for Fears. This very impressive debut by Tears for Fears, nice blend of synth pop, post punk, and exemplary pop songwriting, and stellar vocal melodies. And the singles off this record were all great. Number 14 is the debut record from Big Country, The Crossing. So Big Country was formed by Stuart Adamson upon leaving the Skids. And this record contains some of the most brilliant guitar work of the entire decade, I think. Yes, of course, there's the guitars that sound like bagpipes. It's kind of like what everybody focuses on the record, and it is really cool. But there's so much more and really unique utilization of the utilization of the EBO, for example, on here is just stellar. Lyrically, it deals with a lot of the human experience and yearning and desire in a very soothing way. And I think as time has gone on, at least here in the US, it's kind of gotten forgotten. And it really is just kind of remembered for the lead single, but some really special songs on here. I think it's worth revisiting. Number 13 is Blue Sunshine by The Glove. So if you're not familiar with The Glove, that was the side project formed by the then Banshees members, Robert Smith and Steven Severin. While Susie and Budgie kind of moved on to do their Creatures project, McKissick had kind of left Steven and Robert to kind of find something to do in the meantime. So they recorded this record, which is obviously, I think it's a step away, but it's not too much different than what was going on from Kiss and Dreamhouse or Hyena, especially from their point of view. Unfortunately, Robert was prevented from singing on this record by his Elektra Records contract, though he does sing on 2 songs. But for the most part, they bring in Jeanette Landry, who does a very good job to sing on what is a pretty psychedelic affair, but contains some truly great tracks. Number 12, speaking of Susie and Budgie's side project, we have Feast, the first record by Creatures, which is Susie and Budgie. This record was recorded in Hawaii, presumably while they were trying to keep their secret relationship not so secret. It's almost exclusively percussion and vocals. It really is a testament to Budgie's musicianship, while Susie really gets to stretch out her vocal abilities here. It went so well that the side project went on 10 years before eventually becoming the full-time project when the Banshees disbanded. And I believe Miss the Girl actually I think was a top 10 hit in the UK. Number 11 is Fire Dances by Killing Joke. To this point, this was definitely, I think, the most fast-paced Killing Joke record, but the least melodic, actually less melodic, I think, than Revelations. It's a very unique record in their catalog. It contains some of Geordie's best riffs. Number 10 is going to be The with Soul Mining. I think this is a record that has gotten better with age. There's so many great tracks on here. Another great mix of like post-punk and synth pop, with Matt Johnson's very unique melodies and vocal delivery. There's not really anybody who really kind of sounds like him. And Uncertain Smile is a damn near perfect pop song. Even with it being extended on the record longer than the single version, it's phenomenal. If you missed out on it back then, it's never too late to discover Soul Mining. It's a very good album. Number 9 is going to be Dazzle Ships by OMD, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. This record, along with pretty much most of OMD's early work, was pretty much scoffed at by the intelligentsia and the critics. But as with the record, I think the years have been very kind to Dazzle Ships. It was a pretty bold move at the time to do an experimental record like this, especially after the success of the previous record. And I think on this album, Andy McCluskey really comes into his own as a singer on here, especially on the tracks International and the Joy Division inspired Silent Running. And Of All These Things We Made is excellent. And don't sleep on their new material. The last few albums have been very good. And they're going to be on tour in the US later this year. So check them out. You won't be sorry. Number 8 is the self-titled debut by Violent Femmes. Combination of punk and folk, you say. Not only did it work, but it's awesome. It's a sound that's unmistakably the Femmes. It's recognizable within seconds. Every single song on this record sticks, especially Good Feeling. That's probably my favorite Femmes song. Great, great album. Number 7 is Seance by The Church. So this record builds on the foundation they built with the last record, The Blurred Crusade, but this time they add a little bit more space and a little bit more thick atmosphere that helps to create a more ethereal energy on the record. We haven't even mentioned the great songwriting. There's not a bad track on it. Phenomenal record. Number 6 is going to be Burning from the Inside by Bauhaus. So the band is kind of falling apart at the seams during the recording of this record, but they managed to pull it together enough to create a very solid record, at least. They twisted the rag out and got every last drop out of this baby. King Volcano, Who Killed Mr. Moonlight, both great tracks, and She's in Party may be the ultimate Bauhaus single. Number 5 is going to be Grapes of Wrath by Spear of Destiny. So after Kirk Brandon dissolved Theater of Hate, he and bandmate Craig Stammen, bassist, formed Spear of Destiny. This first record is excellent. They still have that Joy Division meets Roxy meets The Clash sound, but with a bit more pop sensibility. Great stuff. Number 4 is going to be Head Over Heels by Cocteau Twins. The Cocteau Twins move forward out of the repetitive drum loops and song structures and start to develop their own really beautiful atmospheric world. Robin Guthrie is a magician. Liz Fraser's voice is incomparable. I could name every track, but When Mama Was Moth, 5-10-50 Fold, Sugar Hiccup, in the Gold Dust Rush, all outstanding. The record is stunning, and they're just getting started. Number 3 Power, Corruption, and Lies by New Order. So this is where New Order start to truly become New Order. There's still a tiny bit of Joy Division isms in there with like um, We All Stand, a couple of other moments in there, but tracks like The Village, Your Silent Bass are pure New Order, and they're moving on into their own territory. Leave Me Alone is one of my all-time favorite New Order tracks, and this album contains some of Hookie's greatest bass lines, which to me means some of the greatest bass lines of all time, and this record is an absolute classic. Number two is Porcupine by Echo and the Bunnymen. I know like the general consensus is that Ocean Rain is the best Bunnymen record, but I'm not so sure. I think it's pretty close here. This record is pretty flawless in its hopelessness. um, White Devil and the title track in particular are absolutely perfect songs. Um, a top 10 or 15 record of the decade for sure. But there's one in 1983 that I like better. So the number one record for me in 1983 is going to be Script of the Bridge by the Chameleons. I know this isn't real known in the mainstream, but I do know there's a lot of you guys who are also into this record as much as I am, just judging by the comments and some of the conversations we've had. I'm not sure whatever it is in the water in Manchester, but some of the music that comes out of there is absolutely magical. So when I first entered college, and I was starting to meet some new people outside of my normal circle of people that knew in my neighborhood growing up here in Philly, I was given a mixtape that would really change the way I would experience music going forward. Up to that point, I was really just kind of getting my music from 120 minutes on MTV or on WKDU, which was the college radio station that broadcasted out of Drexel University here in Philly. I did get to, you know, discover a lot of new stuff, but if you weren't getting music from those two places around here, you had to kind of meet new people to kind of discover it, because there was no internet. You had to go out there and find it physically. So that mixtape contained some really amazing stuff. I think it might even been the first time I ever heard Cocteau Twins, X-Mall, Bolshoi, a lot of really cool stuff. And it also contained Don't Fall, the opening track of this record by the Chameleons, on Script of the Bridge. I fell so in love with this track that I literally spent years trying to search out a physical copy of the record, to no avail. Either on a record, CD, or cassette, anything I could find, I couldn't find it. So I had to settle for a dubbed cassette copy from that same friend for about 8 years, till I finally got a hold of a physical copy of the record. Interesting enough, right after that was when Interpol came out, and somehow they sounded strangely familiar to me. But they've made no secrets about their love for Chameleons music, and I wholeheartedly agree with them. The intertwining double guitar team of Red Smithies and Dave Fielding, the throbbing bass lines and emotive vocals of Mark Burgess, the killer drums by the late great John Lever, and the lyrics are nothing short of gorgeous. How this band did not sell out arenas, I will never understand. But if you haven't heard of the legend of Script of the Bridge, check out the tracks Here Today, Monkeyland, Up the Down Escalator, A View from a Hill, which Interpol completely lifted shamelessly, every track on it. I got to share my experiences about my musical journey with Chameleons with Mark Burgess last year when Chameleons came through town. And I mentioned how Don't Fall made a major impact on me when I was younger, and that's how I got into Chameleons. And I asked him if they were going to play it that night, and he kind of shrugged his shoulders. He said, probably not. I don't think it's in the set list tonight. And then they opened the show with it. It was so awesome. He was a total gentleman, and they played an unforgettable rendition of Second Skin, which he dedicated to his late mom, who he had just lost recently at the time. And it was complete goosebumps. It was beautiful. So if you don't know about Chameleons, check out all four of their records. They're amazing. And check out their new EP, Where Are You? It just came out this past Friday. It's all over streaming. It's on YouTube. Find it. It's really awesome. It's their first new music in over two decades. Um, and for God's sake, go check them out in the States this fall. They're coming back. Go see them. Um, so that's it. That's 1983. Thanks for checking us out. We're going to do that Jesus and Mary chain ranking soon, I swear to God. And of course, we'll have 1984 coming up, and we have a couple of other new things that we're going to be doing going forward. So if you haven't already, go to our social media, um, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I think we even have a TikTok now, which we're working on. And obviously, like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and we'll see you next time. See you.